Thank you. First of all, I'm going to pick up where you left off there. This talk of nuclear weapons is something that needs to be undertaken very, very cautiously. Words matter. It is not the policy of the United States at this time to declare a no first use of nuclear weapons. We have what's called strategic ambiguity in that regard. Our allies have joined with us in that particular policy. I share Senator Markey's concern about irrational conduct. Unfortunately, it's not us that have control over the irrational conduct. We've seen probably about as irrational a conduct as possible when the decision was made to go into Ukraine. And they continue to talk irrationally, particularly about the use of nuclear weapons. As the Secretary said, as the President has said, that is irresponsible discussion. They're irresponsible comments, and they ought to come off at the table. And unfortunately, we don't have control of that. So, but we need to keep pressing people that when you talk like that, it is grossly irresponsible. Secretary Donfried, well, in fact, any one of the four of you, I wrote a couple of weeks ago concerning the expansion of NATO, and we, the United States, have always been the last one to vote for accession for a new country. I want to reverse that this time. We're about to get 2 new members, and I've encouraged them, and lots of other members of Congress have encouraged them. In talking with the Finnish people and the Swedish before this whole thing started, they were already having real concerns about the decisions they've made to try to remain neutral. And they were already thinking that they needed to belong to a defensive organization. And we need to underscore over and over and over again, NATO is a defensive organization. It is not an offensive organization, and it's not going to attack anyone. It's not going to take any kind of offensive conduct. Having said that, it is the strongest defensive organization in the world, made up of 30, soon to be 32 members, who will defend every square inch of every piece of land in all 32 countries. Russia needs to understand this, and I think they do. I think that Putin's already made the calculation that he can't do anything with these countries. If he did, the Baltics would already be gone, I think. So we want to continue to underscore that. I look forward to welcoming Finland and Sweden. I think if you lived in that country, you'd take one look at what happened in Ukraine and say, look, we have no choice. We have got to get into NATO and provide this ourselves with joint defense with all these other countries. Because if we don't, who knows what's going to happen. I think all of us have misjudged the way things were going in Europe over the last decades. It looked like perhaps Russia was slowly, very slowly moving to being a responsible player on the international stage, and in one fell swoop, and they changed that, and we're kind of back to where we started from. And we all need to toughen up and strengthen our eastern flank, and we're going to do that. So, and I think they're coming. So, what can you tell me about the paperwork on these? Takes long, I know, and that's why I wrote and said, let's get started. Anybody tell me anything about whether you got my letter to begin with, and whether we're doing some preparation?
Well, Senator Risch, very grateful for your engagement on this. As you know, the administration strongly supports NATO's open door policy, and in fact, a principle that we are defending in Russia's war against Ukraine is the right of every sovereign country to make its own decisions about its security and foreign policy. So I think this issue is fundamental in this conflict. And in the case of Finland and Sweden, these obviously are very close and valued defense partners of the United States. As you know, they already have a relationship to NATO. They're both key EU allies. And I am so struck in reflecting on where Finland and Sweden are today in terms of their relationship with NATO, that this is another piece of the mounting evidence of what a strategic failure Putin is suffering today. You know, if we take Finland, if we think about how carefully Finland has managed its relationship with Russia over time, Finland has an 830-mile border with Russia. And if you had asked me at my confirmation hearing, do you think Finland and Sweden will apply for NATO membership during your 10 years as assistant secretary, I would have said no. But we saw Finland move immediately after Russia's full-scale invasion on February 24 because it changed the security situation fundamentally. So I am struck by how so much of what Putin says he was seeking to avoid, he has brought about. And I think Finland and Sweden's interest in NATO is a key example of that. So thank you for your engagement and for the question.
Yeah, well said. And I think that truly what Putin did in invading the Ukraine and the reaction to it by Finland, and for that matter, Sweden, underscores the stupidity of what he did in just getting the exact opposite of what he wanted. And I was also struck by how quickly things moved. I talked with both of them prior to it, and the polling in that country was iffy as to whether they should or not. The polling today is skyrocketed, and for a very good reason. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.